because it's the difficult defense. Look, I've thought about this myself. Do you know, Vanessa, even with my own granddaughters, I tell my wife, don't, and I know some of you are going to find this hard to believe. I will tell her, don't leave them overnight here if you're not going to be here.
Wow, really?
Because let me tell you, we live in an age now where what do you do if someone accuses you? And I'm not saying anybody in my family has done that. Look, I just trying to illustrate to you this point. What is the defense against the allegation of a sexual molestation? And that's what this attorney we're about to talk to, Paul Wallin, is asking today on behalf of his client, Kelly Watson, a 34-year-old woman who is a special education teacher, accused of sex with a 17-year-old former student, according to published reports. Let's put him on the line. Thank you for being here, Mr. Wallin.
Oh, good afternoon.
All right, so you give me your take. What has happened in this case? Because you're right. When I reported the story, I used her name. I said this is what she is accused of, and I spoke out, and I've talked about this often. You may not know our program because you're not from the L.A. area. You're from San Diego, right?
Well, I also have an office in Orange County, so I'm familiar with your program.
Okay, so you will know that our program is very vigilant against any kind of thing that endangers kids. Okay, that's just where we are. So tell me what happened with Miss Watson, your client here, and why you believe she's been so badly maligned in the public eye.
Well, first of all, as you started to say when I was listening about your concern about being alone with your own grandchild.
Yes.
Overnight, can you imagine how teachers feel in 2012 when every single day they're alone with students or put in a situation where they could discipline a student and the student could feel harshly about them, or during detention when they're alone with a student, or a student could misapprehend a hug for something that is different? It's a horrible, horrible environment. I'll tell you that people don't appreciate teachers in the first place. Teachers are not only underpaid and overworked, and we entrust them with our children, but they're also exposed to these allegations that can come out of nowhere. And this is one of those cases. The thing that's the most disturbing about it is, just like you say on your station, I mean, unless a person is mentally ill, who would want anyone to injure a child? They're the most precious things in our world. That's what it's all about.
Okay.
So
go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
No, I was
finish
just going to tell you. I was going to tell you. So when a teacher gets accused, it is now just expected, even though they're presumed innocent in a court of law. In the court of public opinion, as soon as you are accused, you are a pariah. Your life is, in effect, ruined as soon as you're accused. And that's the reality of 2012, and it was only further made more difficult by the whole Sandusky craziness. Because of that horror and all the cover-up and what he did, it has now made parents even more hypersensitive.
Okay, Mr. Wallin, let me ask you a couple of key questions. Is this your, and I don't know your practice, is your practice specifically focused on these kinds of cases?
We've represented the California Teachers Association for 30 years. So,
okay.
Of course, we've represented well over 1,000 teachers who are accused of touching students. But
okay.
We've also represented at least another 1,000 who have not. So, yes, we're probably the most experienced area of defending people accused of this offense. And it is gut-wrenching.
No. So I'm glad we're talking because, look, there are two sides to every story. And you bring up a good point here when you say that the young man himself is now saying there was no sexual wrongdoing, to use your words. No sexual wrongdoing occurred between Kelly and the young man. That's your quote. So who's pressing the issue?
Well, first of all, it's the prosecutors in San Diego who are pressing the issue. They did their investigation, and they determined that they believe there was enough evidence to arrest our client, and of course that led to the media doing what they always do, going nuts and putting it on the first page, putting it on television all through San Diego. It hits the internet. It's all through everywhere.
Oh, yeah, it's here, yeah.
Of course. And all of a sudden, the first thing people do, if you read the comments on the internet,
and I have,
It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, half the comments are saying something to the effect, which is also disgusting. What a lucky guy. I wish I had her for a teacher. That assumes she did it, but like, what's the big deal? And the other half are condemning her for doing it, when in fact she's been nothing but arrested. That's it. So that's what, if you just read the comments on any internet, you'll understand the problem we're facing in 2012.
Listen, I read my own emails every day. I do understand the what happens on the internet. It's a very impersonal way where people can come at you and say whatever they want, including all kinds of language. Mr. Wallin, in the couple of minutes we have left, where do you think this case is going with Miss Watson? Because on the one hand you say that the allegations have no foundation, but with all of this swirling around her, what happens to her career now?
Well, she's on administrative leave with pay temporarily, and that's now up for review by the school district where she was teaching. What's important to note is that for the last 7 years, she's been an unbelievable special ed teacher, taught hundreds and hundreds of students, without one allegation of any misconduct by anybody. So we would hope that they would keep her on administrative leave with pay as opposed to without pay. All that does is, if it's without pay, she's now going to be without a job while we litigate this case for the next 6 to 9 months. And when she wins and when the charges are dropped, she can never get that money back. And she's always had this stigma. I mentioned before, and it's in the release, that, you know, if in fact the mother of the the young man thought the allegations were true, you'd think she'd want the case to proceed. But she has told us she wants the charges dropped because she absolutely doesn't believe them.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Wallin, but this is where I also have to tell you something. And you and I, let's be grown-ups with one another, sir. You know that some cases don't go to court because there are cases where people don't want young people subjected to this kind of further public scrutiny. So I am not defending or condemning this young man. All I'm saying to you is that alone doesn't mean there may not be something here. I don't know, but somebody believes the case needs to go forward. I just wanted to know what the implications were on her personally. So what would you prefer that we do then when allegations like these are brought forth, because they become part of a public record?
Well, first of all, what I believe and what I pray for is that people would understand that for 230 years we have fought for the liberties and the rights we have in this country, and one of the most precious is the right to be presumed innocent unless the contrary can be proven. We fought in wars to preserve that.
Yeah.
And so what I'd only ask is if someone gets arrested, whether it be someone you know or someone in your family, you would only want for them the same presumption of innocence that Miss Watson has. That means you wouldn't want people to automatically
Mr. Wallin,
she must
I
be
get
guilty.
it. I get it. But let me mention one name. You'll understand why we have concerns also on the other side. Mark Burnt. 30 years, dozens of kids, and there, who then speaks up for the kids? I understand your position, sir. We're out of time. Please, you're welcome back anytime. As this case progresses, keep us in mind. I'll be happy to give you space on this microphone.
No